Poverty, corruption, and dependency. For decades, these words defined the Filipino experience. Pero ang malala, we have been conditioned to believe that this is normal, that poverty is our destiny, that Ayuda is generosity, and that corruption is just part of the system. But let me ask you, is this really our faith? Or is this the biggest manipulation ever played on the Filipino people? It's been passed down to generation until we stopped questioning and simply accept it as life. The root of conditioning. If you look back, conditioning started centuries ago. During the Spanish era, the Filipinos were only taught one thing, and that is obedience. Education was reserved for the elite, while the masses were left out with limited knowledge, conditioned to follow, and not to lead. The Americans brought public education, but it is a curriculum that highlighted obedience and service. What we got is a generation of Filipinos that were molded into being followers and never to question authority. And when the baton was passed on to local politicians, they perfected the formula. They discovered that as long as people stayed poor and dependent, they can control votes, secure power, and stay in office for decades. The education trap. Education should be the key to freedom. Pero sa Pilipinas, it became another trap. Public schools were underfunded, teachers spread themselves thin with almost no resources. Classrooms are overcrowded, and the biggest injustice? Quality education is available only if you can afford it. Ano ang resulta? The children of the poor inherit the cycle of poverty, and meanwhile, the privileged maintain their advantage. And let's be real. What are we really teaching? Students are asked to memorize dates, formulas, and facts. But where is the emphasis on critical thinking, financial literacy, and civic responsibility? We don't teach how to break free from poverty. We never teach how to challenge corruption. Instead, we produce graduates that can pass exams but can never question why the system is broken. And that is not education. It's conditioning. Poverty and political dependency. Poverty is not just a statistic. It is a tool that politicians have mastered. Just look at programs like AKAP, AICS, and TUPAD. Do they help? Yes. Temporarily. But are they long-term solutions? Nope. Instead, they are designed to keep people dependent. Have you noticed that as election season comes closer, the number of assistants increases? Politicians go on stage and say, dahil sa akin yan, or bigay ko yan. But in truth, it's taxpayers' money. It is our money. Pero dahil gutom ang tao, they accept it. Wala silang choice. And politicians know this. That's why poverty has become their greatest weapon. Dependency has become their strongest leash. And the Filipino people, conditioned by decades of survival mode, just continue to bow their heads in exchange for crumbs. Corruption normalized. Let's face it, corruption has been normalized in the Philippines. When billion peso scandals break out, all you can hear is, ganyan talaga eh. Or worst, buti nga may natira pa. This is perhaps one of the saddest conditions of our collective mindset. Imagine someone stealing billions, yet people excuse it just because they receive a few kilos of rice or 1,000 peso from a cash program. That is how deep the conditioning runs. So it's not just corruption anymore. It's cultural acceptance of corruption. And the more we accept it, the more we raise a generation that will just shrug at injustice. We are conditioning our next generation to live in a system that we should have already destroyed. Media, entertainment, and distraction. Let's not forget that conditioning also comes with what we see and hear. Media narratives also shape the way we see our politicians. Sadly, people are more interested and updated with the latest telenovela plot rather than the new laws that are being passed. And every time a scandal breaks out, it's definitely covered with another news, showbiz, or another controversy. And that is not an accident. Instead, it's part of the design. Because a distracted nation is an obedient nation. Breaking the cycle. But here is also one truth: conditioning is not permanent, it can be broken. First, we need to fix our education, and not the infrastructure, but the content itself. Let's teach financial literacy, civic duty, respect and honor, our Constitution, our rights and privileges. Let's teach our young people to question, to analyze, and to hold leaders accountable. Second, we must switch from dependency to empowerment. Ayuda helps in the short term, but it should never be the long term plan. The Filipino people deserve jobs, fair wages, and sustainable opportunities. And third, and very important, we must change our culture of acceptance. Stop saying, ganyan talaga eh, but start saying, bakit ganyan? And can we please stop treating these politicians as our saviors? They should be reminded that they are in this position because they are public servants and we have the right to these services at hindi nila ito regalo sa atin. Breaking the cycle starts with us. One mindset, one decision, one voice at a time. Mga kababayan, for generations, we have been conditioned into silence, into dependency, into poverty. But if conditioning has taught us to accept corruption, then conditioning could also teach us to reject it. We as a people are not powerless, and we are definitely not destined to be poor. Let us stop being slaves to this system. But the hard question is, are we ready to unlearn the lies, to break the chains, and to reclaim the Philippines we all deserve? Because if we don't do anything, our children will inherit the same chains that we failed to break. And that will be the greatest betrayal of all.